Hello, Expanded Humans. Welcome to our Wednesday night masterclass. It's such a beautiful week and a time, well, it's a crazy fucking time, let's be honest, in humanity as we're all growing. And I don't know about you guys, but I really feel like we're having like considerable more downloads and way more awareness in our decisions. And it's really that time for us to start making different decisions. And if we are not, it's time to look at making different decisions and to question some of our choices and to really understand how we make such an impact on the planet and we make such an impact in our lives that the work really needs to begin with us. And of course it begins inside of us, but then after, some of that work is done and we're able to see things, then it needs to reflect outside of ourselves. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. I have my medicine brother and partner DJ on the call tonight, which I'm so excited you're here.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we'll be talking about some good stuff and we'll wait for some more people to join us. So, let's get real, DJ. Like, we had such a candid little moment of conversation before this call started, and you said something that was so important. And I think why it's so important is because a lot of people feel the same way you do. And you said something like the topic of this call is kind of interesting. It's, how are we going to help our oceans? How are we going to help our planets? How are we going to care about our rainforests? And our company is really designed to get people to a point where they have empathy, they have compassion, they have caring, they have understanding that things need to change. But you had said something really interesting, if you don't mind sharing what you said. I think there's a lot of people that feel the same way you do.
Yeah, no problem. But it's interesting because it's like, we talk about the world and we talk about all the stuff that's going on, you talk about rainforests and, plastic in the oceans and, global warming and all of that stuff. But when you really get down to it, it's more of like education. Like, honestly, I really don't know what's going on in the world because I haven't spent the time to really do the research, right? Because, a lot of us out there think like, okay, well, what can I do as a singular person to change something so massive, right? I mean, you can start to do things like recycle, and you can start to do things like, there's different things out there that you can start doing on a very singular level. But, when you think about the whole world, it's very daunting. And it's like, man, like I honestly don't really know what's going on in the world because it hasn't been a topic that I've really spent much time with. A lot of us out there, we're stuck on this hamster wheel of society where, if you want to talk about money, you want to talk about real estate, you want to talk about politics, you want to talk about certain things that drive our society. I could tell you a bunch of it because I spend time researching it, right? But then when you want to talk about, let's get real, the real shit about like our planet, man, I'm almost embarrassed to say that I really don't know what's going on, right? And I think that's part of the problem is that we're stuck chasing certain things, and the things that really matter, we're either taught to not care or we're just oblivious to it because who's out there to really teach us? The media is not going to teach us what the hell is going on.
No, and that's the thing is like I have friends, I post stuff sometimes, and I know we have people waiting to get on the call. I just have to wait for E to make me host again, so that will take just a second. We don't know what to believe, and like typical news sources are typically what we've like been taught to believe is like to go home at night and watch TV and like feed ourselves this information. And I'm going to go ahead and go big here because like why not, but essentially like the whole thing with global warming is such an interesting topic. Now in no way am I saying that the things happening on the planet that are showing that we have signs of global warming are not happening. That's definitely happening, but we have to ask ourselves why it's happening and look and see if there's a cause of like something artificial making it happen to kind of drive us into this agenda, right? Like in your partner and I, DJ, we have like incredible conversations about this because it's fascinating to see what people buy into. So once we buy into an idea, even if it's like a more advanced or more seems like a more conscious idea, then we're still kind of buying into a system of driving us into an agenda. So that's where it's so interesting is having really big discernment and saying like, what is the point of this? And my dad had posted something last week that talked about, in the 80s, it was acid rain. And at this time it was this like, and everything imposes a tax. Let me see if I can open it yet. And everything imposes a tax upon us so that now we're gonna have a CO2 tax and now we're gonna have this tax and there's gonna be more taxes. And like, none of those things happened. None of those things as of date of yet happened. And I had read this really interesting article, which I can say is probably not from the most reputable news source. I've never heard of it, but there were quantities like football field sizes, and I'm not sure exactly what they call it in land size. And it was like 600 or 6,000 football fields size space of ice that was new. That was like, it wasn't melting, it wasn't whatever. And again, I don't have the answers, but this is like a conscious conversation for us to come together and really start to understand why we're being taught that it's all so heavy and harsh. And like, we just got 2 feet of snow and there was absolutely no weight to it. And I would bet you anything, if I tried to light it on fire, it would have lit. And people think this stuff is crazy. So it's like, either we're uninformed and we don't want to know, or there's like people like me who are conspiracy theorists and crazy in this whole piece. So it's like, how do we find sources to learn from that are smart and educational?
But I want to camp on something that you just said, because you put them two together, but they're almost two separate things, and where they could be two and the same things. But you said we're uninformed, or / and we don't want to know, right? Because I gotta be honest with you, like, I'm scared shitless to know.
Right.
Because if I really knew what was going on, then maybe that would take away from some of my drive to do some of the other things that I'm doing, right? So it's almost, you stay singularly focused on what you've got going on, and it's like, do I really want to know? Do I really want to know what's outside of the matrix? Do I really want to know what's really going on? Because I'm probably not going to really like what's going on, and that's going to add more feelings, more stress, more anxiety, more fear to my life.
So take a second and talk about that. Like, so what is it that you don't want to know? Because I mean, you sat in plant medicine, you have seen some heavy things, and you have a partner that's, you know, very much in the movement of waking. So like, you know, you're kind, and you're with me, like we always say that we're married in ways because we're business partners, but like you can't avoid it.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because it's easy to stay in your bubble, in your lane of what you think you know, right? And you can educate yourself on certain things, but like, if you stay inside of what everybody wants you to feel and know, it's easy, right? You can go on and be easy about it because you're like, oh, I don't really know what's going on, so it doesn't matter. But the moment you step outside that bubble and you feel and you see and you start to understand what's really going on, it's hard. Shit gets hard, right? Because you actually have the knowledge now and you see the truth of a lot of things that are going on, right? So some people, you know, they'll dip their toe into the understanding of what's really going on. And some people, you know, like me, just jump in head first and then we try to swim. But it gets harder because if you have the truth and you don't act upon it, then you're almost acting out of your own integrity, right? Nobody wants to act out of their own integrity. So it's like, if I don't know about it, then I'm not really out of my integrity then, am I? So it's like, do you really want to know what's going on? Like, really? So that's the question.
It is, and it's such a great question. And it's like, you know, when I really started to dip into like what was happening on the planet and the truth, the thing that was like so scary in me was like, ultimately I had this dissonance built inside of me that made me feel like our government or somebody was going to come help us, like, right? Like, and I think that that's the piece that is really hard for people. But it's like, it's so fascinating because I was so terrified to accept the fact that like, it's up to you and I, and no one's coming to save us. And like, and that's okay. And like, it can be so empowering. Like when we're finally to the point where like, we're there, it's so empowering because it's like, as a woman to be successful, and I've talked about this before, I think that I need to learn how to hunt. Now, this topic is so controversial for people that are vegetarian or vegan. And I was a vegetarian and a vegan for 5 years and really went through the process of like the cruelty to animals, and then went through so much health issue that I really had to understand that it wasn't for me, like it wasn't working for me. So then turning to eating meat, which I have to tell you was one of the hardest processes to go back from not eating meat to eating meat. And then understanding like, I have to be part of the slaughter. Meat doesn't come from the grocery store. And like, this is a big thing from people are so disconnected. Like buffalo wings clearly don't come from buffaloes.
they would be huge. Imagine trying to eat a gas buffalo.
What's really happening here? I'm gonna let you take the mic for just a second, and I'm just gonna try and get you so I can get these lovely ladies.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I want to talk about something that you just said too, that because I've been doing a lot of research on this for myself, is You know how you said that you need to hunt, right? You're like, I think that I need to hunt because there will be one day that I may need to go hunt my own food, right? But here's the thing, that's very singular, and I think that comes from a scarcity mindset because we're in a community, we're in a collective. So you necessarily don't need to go hunt, right? But you may need to find somebody who knows how to hunt. So now instead of investing in yourself as a scarcity mindset, now you're coming into more of a community abundant mindset.
I hear you, but I don't feel that way at all about it. I feel like as a woman, I cannot rely on anybody to feed me. And like, I think that us all empowering ourselves to learn trade and to learn how to at least process food, or at least be part of the kill, or at least understand the slaughter. Like that butchering part of peace. Like if you want to eat meat, you need to go understand how it's processed. And for me, like I live in the woods and I live in whatever, and I'm a single woman. So I can't rely on the fact that, you know, you may get sick, or the person that hunts in our camp may get sick and not be able to do it. So I think everybody needs to empower themselves. And Carrie, who I can't seem to get into this call, is that woman. Like she is very self-sufficient. She lives on a ranch by herself and she takes care of those things. And yeah, it's just fascinating to see, but like, it's not from scarcity at all. It's an empowerment place. Like if I'm going to be an empowered woman and I can take care of myself, like I don't have to worry. And like, I'm good. And like, I may never do it, but having that skill is definitely not a bad thing. And, you know, if we're actually in a community where we're actually trying to feed each other, having another person that knows how to do it certainly isn't a bad thing.
Well, yeah, definitely. But I mean, you did say a bunch of different things kind of in just in that though, right? You're talking about empowering yourself, which is a little bit different than just learning a skill, which is a little different than being able to just hunt and feed yourself, right? You're talking about a couple different things, because I mean, empowering yourself just because you're a woman, or how about empowering yourself because you're a human?
Okay, and I hear that, but like as women are in this time of rise where we're trying to be met with like the same kind of pay, we're trying to be met with all the same kind of things. Awesome, thank you E, for bringing everybody on. And for me, like the work of my life. Hi Carrie, hi Renee, thanks so much for joining us. Sorry for the delay. The work of my life is being empowered in the fact that I can take care of myself, and and it doesn't mean that I'm going to do it alone, but it means that like, I am not going to like suck everybody under the water and drown them because I'm so much in need. It means that I have more empowerment in this piece. So yeah, I mean, and you know, Carrie is such a great example because we want her to create retreats to help. And it doesn't just have to be women, but right now it seems like there are a lot of women who are like, wow, this is something that I need to take care of for myself. Because, you know, men, what is it? Men cut water, women carry, or men cut wood, women carry water. I don't know what that old saying is, but like, yeah,
So
right.
how do you tie that into being an empowered woman who knows how to do things to the state of the earth, right? Like, is there a correlation between you being an empowered woman that knows how to hunt and then that connecting somehow to the state of how the earth is right now? How?
So, I mean, right. But like, if I care about, so like, if I just go to the store and pick up pork, which I don't eat pork, never, no pork on the fork ever, but like, I don't eat pork because pigs' DNA is closest to ours. They know what's happening to them. They're smarter than dogs. Like, there's a whole bunch of reasons. But if I am part of the slaughter, if I'm part of the kill, if I'm part of the process of how food is created for us to eat, I have a completely different connection to the land. I have a completely different connection to how everything is. And I don't need to necessarily eat it every day. I don't need to necessarily do anything. And it gives me a different way. And, you know, I always say this is like people who waste water, when you have to carry your own water from place to place, you have a completely different relationship with water. And when you have to cut your own wood and make your own heat and you can't just flip a switch in your home, like all of these things definitely get us more connected to the land. And listen, my way isn't certainly the way. It's what I feel I need to do for myself. And, you know, some people may feel like Bernard Gunther always says, like, I'm not storing food for some, you know, end. He's like, I'm here to like live this way and I'm going to do things my way. But it's like, it's just getting people more connected to the fact that Earth is a living spirit. She's been here far longer than we have. And she is a living being and we are raping her for her resources and we are stealing her land. And you just read an interesting book, DJ, about about that, right?
I'm in between like 50 books. I start so many books. Are you talking about the sacred economics?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about too, because in sacred economics, it does talk about how we need to start, instead of investing in, certain things that make us more money, and in using money to make money, usury, we need to invest more in community. And kind of like what you were saying, right, is that, yeah, if hunting is what you want to learn how to do because it makes you feel empowered, awesome, be a hunter. But then maybe I go learn more and I invest in myself because I learned how to make medicine, right? And not just that, you also learn who all in your community knows how to do what. Because let's just say the money structure falls, and we can have a whole nother conversation to call about this. But if the money structure fell, right, and we took all of the ones and zeros and all of the numbers that are in the computers and wiped them all out, the community's still going to be here. Everybody's still going to know who does what. But the bankers and the people that sell insurance and all of that, they're going to be the ones that are hurting because they don't have money anymore, right? The people that know the garbage man, the people that know the butcher, the people that know the people that are doing all these things, you need to spend more time investing in your community and teaching yourself skills. Because if shit does go sideways, the people that are now supposedly the top 1% aren't going to know, they're going to have any money, and they're not going to know what the fuck to do because they don't have any skills and they haven't invested in it.
Oh, they have it all set up, so they're taken care of. They're trying to build Mars for themselves or whatever. That's happening. But that's what the Expanded Human is we're trying to create community-based centers, and we would love to do it globally, right? Like that's the whole point of this mission, is like to bring people together and be like, what are your skills so that we can do this together? Because we're all in this together. And who knows medicine? And like, we're creating a medicine school this next year to teach 10 people 4 really sacred medicines. Everybody on the planet should have a stick of combo in their medicine cabinet in an ethical way. Doesn't mean we get to rape combo frog. It means that we get to learn how to use this medicine. And maybe even how I said it, which I'm still learning, is not maybe everybody in their world needs to have a stick in their medicine cabinet. Maybe everybody needs to understand how to use it.
So to kind of tie all of this back into the topic that we're talking about today, right? So you're talking about how we need to understand things, like you're saying, okay, either I'm going to eat meat or I'm not going to eat meat, or I'm going to be a vegan, vegetarian, whatever, right? But if I'm going to make one of those choices, or I'm just going to eat meat, I need to be more informed on how meat's caught, how meat's, how they slaughter animals, how they do all of this. So if I have a full conscious understanding, then I can make an informed decision, right? So if you take that on a global scale, right? People say that they, recycle and they take care of the earth and they drive Priuses and all that kind of stuff, right? But how conscious are they of what's going on, and how much do they really want to know?
Well, they don't want to know that there are little 4 or 5-year-old boys that are like mining all the stuff for us to have batteries for electric cars. Like people don't want to know. Like every time I see somebody that like they think they've kind of made it because they've got their Ray-Bans on, I'm like, that's child slave labor that actually created those sunglasses for you. So it's like, learning and it's stepping away from needing to have that, fashionable Louis Vuitton bag or whatever. Like I used to be a bag whore. I used to be super materialistic and very consumerist and all about brands. And now it's like, how can I find things that are sustainably made? Do I actually need it? And, we're heading into the holiday season, and I had to have a really big conversation with my family and just say, like, first of all, like, I don't want to do like all these extravagant gifts, and I don't want to do, I want us to be together. We don't need to do all the wrapping. And I was the wrapping queen, multiple wrappings, lots of glitter, all the things that were horrible for the planet. So it's learning how to make choices that are better for all of us. And this is a bad example, but they've made like a biodegradable glitter. Someone's made a biodegradable, glitter's awesome. Glitter is neat. Glitter makes you feel pretty. Glitter's a lot of fun. Glitter's in the way. You always know someone when someone's been to a strip club because they've got glitter on their face.
Okay, good. I'm glad you said it, not me, because I was thinking the only time I've had glitter is when I came home.
I always know when you've been to a strip club because you always But we can do this better. It's just that we have to care. And that's the whole reason that we've created like this company, is like, how can we do things better? And restructuring the dream. What kind of world do we want to create, and what kind of people do we want to become? Because the goal isn't to be wealthy and rich. The goal is to have a rich planet that's healthy with thriving people. I mean, heaven on earth is possible if we can choose it. And we just have like a very small percentage of people that run everything to keep us away from that. And I'm really curious to hear what Renee and Carrie both have to say, because such different views.
Yeah, jump in anytime, Carrie, or anybody that's on the call, because Rhonda and I can battle this out. Well, we could do this for hours. So
hey
I
guys.
want to pose maybe a question to everybody that's on the call, and maybe this, because this kind of resonates with me and it's something that's coming through right now, is that, So, when we talk about everybody on the planet, we've got what, like 7 billion people on the planet, right? And then we start to narrow down to people that we say are like conscious, or they're either health conscious, or they're, conscious about, the world and stuff like that. But so now out of this small percentage of people that say that they're like conscious about the, the state of the earth, how many of them really want to make a change if because that's where I think the shift happens, is like, I'll do everything, but some people are like, oh, but I don't want to do that because that inconveniences me.
The inconvenient truth.
Right? The inconvenient part, right? Like, I'll do everything because it doesn't inconvenience me. But when I learn that something like, oh, my something latte is not good for the earth, that inconveniences me, right? So I either pretend that I don't know about it, or do I really change things that inconvenience me?
Yeah, it's like, I know it's, I mean, you've got that piece of it, but you've got the piece of how many people don't know about it, or don't understand like I'm sure I don't even understand completely everything I'm doing that's not helping our world. I look at things all the time and go, crap, am I doing this? Is this something I really need to do or really need to have? And is it hurting the world? And then I'll like read an article and go, shit, oh, that was totally a bad move. But I mean, it's like water bottles. Well, I recycle all my water bottles. And I'm like, but you're using water bottles. Hey.
Well, and then you can go to the effort of buying glass, which is what I did, which is what you typically make beer in. They're heavy as hell. Like I literally would transport water from a well from a home my grandmother owned. When we sold the home, I said, I will sell the home to you as long as I always have rights to the water. And then I had to literally pack water. I'm just gonna mute you for just a second, Carrie. I had to pack water to and fro for like 3.5 years, and it was a huge pain in the ass. And I was like, wow, it's like, I can't imagine having to do this for 4 hours a day, trying to bring food or water so that my little kid can drink something that's dirty, or at least try and bathe in something that's dirty, which is a whole other thing. And like us being born where we are, I still don't understand how that all works, how like some people have it so challenging in that sense, and like how we turn on the faucet and take it for granted, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I use glass too. I carry glass around everywhere, and it clunks in the back of my car. And it's a whole different world. I know even where I live, just little things like we get the power shut off all the time, especially with all this PG&E stuff. So we have to live a whole different kind of way. I haul water to my horses. I haul water to the other animals, and I have to bathe in a stupid bucket. So things like that, I agree with you. It makes you very appreciative and very aware of how precious things like water are. And I think a lot of pieces, I mean, you guys talked a little bit earlier, like whether to be a hunter or whether to be, to grow. If you're not self-sustainable and something does happen, how do you survive? I mean, I didn't become a hunter because of that. I became a hunter because my family, that's what they do. I mean, we don't buy meat at the store. We get our own meat. It's much healthier. It's using the land and the land giving back to you. We don't hunt for trophies. That's not our family thing. I know some families do, but to me, that's not something. I would never shoot something that I wouldn't eat. So, but if something was to happen, I know that I can find water. I know that I can eat. I've got some idea of how to survive without those modern conveniences. It's not easy. It's freaking, even when the power's out, oh my God, my day is so long trying to take care of everything and just do my normal daily stuff. It is extremely inconvenient. But if more of us don't take care of the world in every little way we can with those inconveniences, when shit hits the fan, you won't be able to do anything. We won't have anything. So it's
really not an if. Yeah. It's a win. I was with our friend Itzy and we were at her home and she's like, you keep saying if. Like, what's that? And she's like, who are you crafting that language to? Like, it's already happening. Like we're already seeing all these things happening. And like, that's the dissonance in people like, no, you know, I just, and I'm not picking on you, DJ, but we have to say this because you brought it up before the call, but like, I just want to have a new Apple Watch. I just want to go on a trip. No, I just want to, you know, I just want to find love, or I just want to make my business work, or I just want to, you know, we're still living in the way we've been taught to want. And it's inconvenient when we have to be like, shit, I have to figure out how to heat water or feed a child, which I can't even imagine that part, or how to wash a diaper. Right? Renee, what do you think? I know you've got things you think.
Well, you know, it's really strange because I didn't ever have those wants. I wasn't allowed to. I came in at 5 channeling recycling, didn't happen until 12. My mother said it's not a good idea because it would attract rats. We lived in the suburbs of Chicago. There are no rats. I would say that my forward, my ability to move through time very differently was to be able to prognosticate that these things existed. And then to me, it was focusing on, you know, how long would it take for that to come into form? So for me, it was always the energy flow of how do you create a group of people that would even be interested in that, because that was just such a far out idea, you know, whereas for me, it fly out of my mouth at 7. It's like, okay, no, doesn't, it goes like this. You fill up your car with all the stuff you're going to recycle, you go to the grocery store, you drop it off and you bring groceries back. Okay. That seems very simple. Now, it did take 5 more years after that to create a center. And then for some people, they weren't interested in doing it unless there was a remuneration, an economic payback. So, you know, for other people, they would go to the recycling center that offered them cash for their aluminum. I just feel like such a fucking cosmic weirdo, really, because my orientation has really been to be there for others, to really midwife new consciousness, new awareness onto the planet. And I have to say, in the last year or so, I've been really depressed. You know, I've been hugely disappointed. Because I still see that these technologies exist, but it requires an inner reframe for them to come out, and it's getting more and more intense. And to me, this shit has already hit the fan. And since I have other ways of viewing, I don't like what I see. I don't like the geo, you know, the way that the geoengineering is affecting the planet. That's not a question mark for me. I know it's true, and I've known it for a long time. It's just how many people, 1, want to be aware of it. 2, I'm not sure how, at this point, I'm not navigating the heartbreak that I feel around it particularly well. And I know that's going to be on me to resolve. It's going to have to be my priority for 2020, because it just keeps getting heavier for me.
For me,
you know, and then I don't have a community. Today I went out and shoveled snow because I'm the man in my household. I don't know how that happened again, but it's happening again. 16 inches of snow, and I'm shoveling, and I'm moving snow and getting around the car that I'm borrowing because I don't own one at the moment. I go across the way and I talk to the guys that work in the community. No one talks to anybody here. They speak Spanish. So I had to learn how to say tractor, snow shovel, you know, in Spanish. And I'm willing to do that because to me, and they just looked at me like they were so excited that someone took the time to talk to them. Yeah, I want more of that connective energy. Because my heart felt great in that moment. For about 10 minutes, I really felt connected.
Well, and that's it, is like, we are not meant to live alone. Like, we are not meant to shovel snow. And, you know, in my neighborhood, when someone's older or struggling, like, you know, I always know that a guy I went to high school with will probably come and like do an extra sweep by my house or grab an extra amount through my driveway just because he's such a kind guy. But like, it's like, we need to take care of each other, and we need to look after each other, women, men, everybody, like we all need to do it. But like, these are the conversations. And as you can see, and like I want to really openly talk about this, there has been like the same 5 of us or 6 of us on the calls each time. And in our community, in our conscious, expanded community, people aren't interested in these conversations because they're busy or they're whatever. And like, so we're back to that old question is how, and this is exactly why 5 years ago I had the idea to start this company, was like, how the hell do I get people to want to care? Because if you don't care, I can't do anything with that. But like, if you don't understand, I can't teach you to want to have compassion. I can't teach you empathy. It's something that has to happen through experience, right? Like, so, but it's like when people are like remotely curious, and working with plant medicine is definitely something that brings in empathy, definitely something that brings us an awareness. So, you know, that is a beautiful piece to it all. But holy shit, man, like we're in time, like it's past time. We need to understand. And, you know, I see people out cleaning the oceans. I saw a big post this morning again, and I don't know how accurate or current it was, but like the largest amount of people went to clean the ocean floor again from scuba diving. And like these things are happening. And again, it is up to us, folks. It's up to us to understand that you need to have seeds stored. You need to understand how to grow a garden. And there's no like crazy panic that needs to happen. You need to understand how to grow a garden, or you need to understand if you live in a city, like what that looks like to have things. And you know, I'm a little bit of an extremist with this. So like pemmican's are really interesting. It's dried meat. It never goes bad. It lasts forever. Like understanding how to make some of these things for ourselves, or hardtack, like all these like different foods and stuff. Like the course we're on is only going to create one result, which is no planet left. And I think it was Baba Ganda. I think it's Baba Ganda who had predicted that the planet will die in like 3050. That's a rough number. But so like, I don't know about you, but like, I'm going to do everything I can to like try and create that. And I've had plenty of ayahuasca ceremonies where I'm like, okay, it's like, who do we know that's the best at solar? Who do we know? And DJ and I are in huge communities of people that have incredible quantities of wealth and access. How do we get them to hear us? How do we get them to listen? And will it be too late? And all of these pieces. And it's like, okay, well, all you can do is do your inner work. And my sister, she'll hate me for saying this on this, but my sister always says like, I feel like I don't have to learn all that stuff. Like, 'cause I feel like I have a back door with you. I feel like I kind of have a back door. And I'm like, sister, if you're running for your life, there's nothing I can do to help you. If you can't process and handle what's happening inside of you, like I can't do that work for you. And you know, DJ, to be my business partner, I made him dive into Bernard Gunther's work. I made him like really start understanding the veil of reality. And I was like, you have to watch this webinar. That's a requirement if you want to be a business partner. And he was like, holy shit. And he would watch an hour and he would go to bed. And then he would watch an hour and then he would like need a week to process. And it was like so much, but still, we're still not connected to how, you know, there's a saying in zero waste. So we're really interested in getting more information about zero waste. We don't have to be at zero waste. We have to be more conscious about being people that create less waste, but like understanding the idea of zero waste. So it's fascinating. So, you know, I promote a challenge to this group, like, what is something that maybe, and only do it if you feel like you can, because I know we're all like in very different places in our lives, and you know, our survival, our growth, our consciousness, our awareness, our own necessities and every day is important. But is there something that we can all commit to doing or trying or accepting or adopting that we can create that's going to make a shift?
I think it's more in the education piece. You know, like one thing I do want to talk about real quick is like, Renee, I do not think you're a cosmic weirdo. I think that it's just a little bit more heavy for you because you are conscious and you understand. There's a lot of us out there that are, you say waking up or doing whatever it is, but we're starting to get it. And the more that we start to get, the more heavy it is. You know, we're talking about plant medicine. You know, I sat in plant medicine one night and then I felt so much sadness. I felt the sadness of myself and like my lineage, but then I felt the sadness of everybody in the room. And then I felt the sadness of everybody in the world. And I started bawling uncontrollably. And it was just the most overwhelmed feeling that I've ever felt. We're all starting to learn it, and we're all starting to slowly get it. I think you just get it you already get more of it than we get. So I don't think that you're a weirdo. And The other part that I wanted to kind of talk about is it keeps coming up, and the two different things is disconnection from community, right? And I think I'm a big believer in a lot of study and a lot of shifts that are coming from me. Disconnection of community came from when we started to implement money systems. And then on top of that, technology. And then on top of that, just awareness, right? And we keep talking about catastrophes. I want to talk a little bit about stages of catastrophes, right? Because we're all talking about like end of the world catastrophe. We've got to go out and we've got to hunt and we've got to figure out how to do everything. But there's different stages of, you know, these catastrophes, right? Because we could just say, hey, if the money system collapses, it's not that big of a catastrophe. We just got to figure out how to pull together and fix some things up. But then the next stage of a catastrophe could be like, okay, well, what happens if an earthquake happens in California splits from the United States? You know, we got to figure shit out. Or what happens if, there's meteors that come and take out half the earth, right? Like there's different stages of catastrophes, but I do believe that we are going to start seeing these happen. Maybe not on a grand 3 or 4 scale, but we're going to start seeing different things collapse because it's just the end of the age. And it's
and Nikaya always says, is our shamanic practitioner, she always says like, it's not going to happen like in one big day.
Yeah,
it's happening right now. And that's the thing, it's like, oh my God, it's like, it's like all the movies we've ever seen happening in like 3 days or whatever. It's already happening. The collapse is happening of our planet and of our systems. But understanding that a lot of it is man-made, understanding that the fires that are happening right now, which we've never, like, it's unprecedented the amount of fires we had, and we're not more dry than we were. And like there's all these weird ideas about the ideas of how they're created. I mean, I just drove through the town in California that completely burned to the ground. The entire town, hospitals, churches, schools, every home was burned to the ground. And it's fascinating to see that piece. So it's like, my teacher and I were having this conversation. He's like, I get it, Rhonda, I get it. You believe the fires were created by laser. I totally get it. And he's like, and I think so too. He's like, but you know what? At the end of the day, all that really matters is you got to fucking rake the leaves at your house and you got to clean your property. And he's like, so yeah, now you know, but now go rake the leaves. Go clean your yard. Go cut down some trees. Like, go keep it clean and like understand your acres of property. Understand what it is. And he's like, that's all that really matters at this point, is to take care and to be caregivers and to understand what's happening and to do our very best to do it. And, when I was all freaked out because I'm like, oh my God, the world is in trouble and I've been denying it. He's like, hey sis, go grow a garden. Go grow a garden. Like, really honestly, go grow an garden and like go get in the garden and like actually understand what it means to cultivate healthy soil, like do these things. And he's like, that's all you can do. And that really is, it is a big portion of what we can do for ourselves. So it's like, again, what can we do in our lives? Like, I really want to commit to this year to having like a really big garden because I've been failing at it miserably. And, I'm a big advocate and proponent of the Berkey water system, which they're so amazing. And I think everyone should have to. Understanding our water and like how to get clean water, even if it's mud water that you throw into the system and create water for yourself. But like, it doesn't like, I'm not trying to plan for the apocalypse. I'm trying to plan for a time when we probably won't have money, and like, let's be honest and smart. Like, if you want to buy silver, which don't tell anybody if you do, I wouldn't recommend necessarily buying gold, which is what I'm told by a lot of my mentors. But like, it isn't something that you pull out in the middle of like when the shit hits the fan. It's something that you use to create like a new way with when everything's a little bit more settled. So it's, you can decide how you want to be, but there's nothing wrong with being prepared. And I haven't watched the video. Bernard put up he had some major psychic come on the show, was talking about this big trine that's going to happen. That's all about our government. It's all about money. And it's supposed to happen in January. And I was like, I should probably have a little bit more food on hand because I don't like to be hungry. Regardless of the situation, I don't really like to be hungry.
Yeah, and I challenge a lot of the people out there that, we're talking about, like the Expanded Human Collective and people like myself, right? Instead of learning about the new stock to invest in or to take money and charge interest and usury on your money and learn that, I challenge you to go learn a new skill, right? Go learn how to, hunt with a bow. Go learn how to, do Krav Maga for self-defense. Like, go learn a skill and invest in yourself. And then invest in your community as well. Go get to know the butcher that cuts the meat down the street. And then, because the thing is when the shit does hit the fan and the money goes away, which it's predicted to do, knowing the butcher is going to be a lot more worth than that extra 10% you make on your money.
Right. And it's like, how much do you need? And we promote so heavily your enough number in here. And like right now we're creating our 2020 plan. We're getting ready to put out an amazing plan and guide for you guys that's really going to help you systematically plan this next year, how much money you need. We're going to look at every single thing we need to do for income and build it down to the day of like how much money you need to make a day and what those activities look like per day. We have to just get more skillful and understand like, what is it that I really need? I don't really need a lot, you know, and like, it's Christmas time. What do you really need? Do you really need anything? Do you really need anything?
So how do we use that to change the state of the world or the earth? Right? Because the thing is like, I don't mind doing the research and understanding it and open up to it, but like, where do I find the right research? Where do I find the right people that are saying the right stuff? Because I can go online and Google all day long, or, you know, I can go learn different things, but like, who's right? Who's wrong? Where's everybody?
Well, and I think this is like, we're at the point where we have to connect into our intuition. Like, I'm not going to be called to the same thing Renee's going to be called to. Like, that's just not how it works, right? Like, so what are you called to learn? What is some strange thing you're like, gosh, you know, maybe I should know that. And I hope like one person out there watches this call tonight and be like, shit, I need to know where my food comes from. I actually need to be part of like that connection, because that just begins to change the brain. And let's be honest, we are far from just saying like, let's create a movement and have everybody go out and change the world, because we're not there. We are so far back. We're 55 steps back from there. So we can all make subtle changes in our own lives. We can do the things, but it's committing. It's truly committing to doing something different this year. And whether it's, you know, 50% waste rather than zero waste, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be different.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Well, and I know,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, you know, something my kids and I are doing this year is instead of gifts, we're doing time. So everything that we're giving each other is it's not that it won't cost money, but it'll be an experience, something we can do together, whether it's, what my one daughter wants to learn how to make candles. So I'm going to teach her how to make candles. And that's my gift to her this year, to spend the time and to go through and to learn all those pieces. And so my other one wants to learn how to do soap. So that's one of the things we're going to do. But I don't know what they're giving back to me yet. But we decided this year that instead of going out and spending all this money and doing all these things, that we would dedicate time and learning those new experiences, and something we want to, that the other person knows how to do, or something that the other person, like it's their awe thing or their thing that really is important to them, that they can share with someone else in the family. So that's one of the little things we're doing, to do something different for the holiday.
That's amazing.
No shopping, no shopping.
It is amazing. So DJ, you can take back my big gift that you got me.
Oh no, well, let's camp on that for a second though, right? Because the thing is, time is finite, right? Money is infinite. You can always go make more money, but you can't always get more time. So you giving your time, like I would rather give people money than time, because time is very precious to me, because I can't get more of it. So that is awesome that you're giving your time instead of money. That's such a better gift. Rhonda, I'm not giving you any time. You're getting money.
I don't want your money. I don't want your time. I want you to rip out. I want you to rip out your suit bottom while we're dancing in the city. That's the only kind of time I want.
You got it.
You got it. That is really it, Carrie, right there. Like last year, like half of my family would said, like, let's go have an experience together. Like if we're going to spend money on something, like, let's go have an experience that we're never going to forget together and create something together. And, you know, Carrie, I'm always happy if you want to video how you make soap or you want to make candles, because I always want to learn, right? Like, but that's the thing, is learning how to do it differently. Like we get to do this differently, and it's breaking out of the box. And Renee, you know, I'm just gonna get Carrie. She has some lovely Christmas music happening. Renee, you were given a really hard gift at a very young age, which was connection and understanding and awareness. And like, you know, I was 38 years old when I woke up to the idea of like, oh, maybe I should have like purpose, and it isn't all about money. Like this wasn't, and I think I had whispers of it in my life, but like, I didn't I didn't come in with that understanding. There was question about like why it didn't feel right or make sense, but so in your heart,
I can't agree that it's a gift with the amount of psychic attacks and tarot came with,
sister,
you know, because that
that's
created such a secret and hidden that literally I became a fucking bodyguard and a protector of everyone. And it's time for me to find land, build a sound dome, and do what I do, because 13 years of touring with these instruments, we're done.
yes,
We're done. I'm amazed at the age that I started at, which was 49, that I pulled it off, you know, and now everyone my age, which I don't really hang around with because they think they're old, you know, they're all focused on retirement. And I'm like, no, I'm starting a new life. And they laugh and they think, oh, you're so funny. I say, I'm not being funny, actually. I'm really going to commit to finding the land, building the geodesic dome, and doing what I can do to the best I can do it, because moving me and the equipment around and going to different places and dealing with bad acoustics and all sorts of energy in the places was the most effortful thing. And I think coming in with that war, it still never resolved that adversarial tension of there's always an us and them, versus the trinitized expression of, and there's something new that wants to be born.
and that was really what I was trying to say, is like it's a gift in the sense of like you come in with this understanding and knowing, but like the burden to carry, it's just like Carrie, and I know you guys have connected more. Her name implies that she must carry a load or carry something to live in life. And like, I think that time is shifting, and my hope for you is that then, you know, you being in the lead of the curve, right? Like leading the curve, right? Helping us understand like what's coming next. I really hope that this year for you is being able to receive and to be, you know, taken care of in a sense, to have a place to lean in, to be able to be held. And again, that doesn't mean like you're not going to do anything. I don't want those words to like apply that, because, you know, you're always right. But like to be able to have it not be so arduous all the time, and to come in with that knowledge. And like, that's what people don't understand, is like to have this information, to carry it around, to be called a conspiracy theorist, to be called all the things that we're called every day. It is not a fucking choice. Like, I would never choose this for myself. I would never be this much or extra. And, you know, DJ's had to learn the hard way. Like, it's so much, and I try and do it in a tender way, but we all get to learn, and it's awkward as fuck, especially like stepping into the truth of what's happening. So I encourage everybody out there, like, and maybe there's some questions I'll look in some of the groups, to be called a conspiracy theorist, to be called the things that we're called every day. I was trying to open up the feed so I could see it on Facebook, but we have to make a pledge. We don't have to, we get to, if we choose to make a pledge to what can be done differently this year. And for me, it's sharing this in like the biggest way, and it's talking online that I'm not doing Christmas the way that we've always done it, and which seems so silly, but it's not, because it's a big thing. It's a huge portion of the retailer's year. And, you know, DJ, you being more honest and like having more conversations with men and saying like, you know, I don't really know about this, but like, this is a conversation we need to talk about, because men listen when you listen, and women listen when you talk, right? And Renee, it's like doing it in your way, and saying to people that are like, oh, I'm ready to retire and I'm ready to like fold it in. You're like, it's time to start life, right? These are all super powerful messages.
Yeah, like part of what I'm trying to do for 2020 is give some time to the collective and not expect anything from it, right? Like money's a big thing with me, and it's always like, what's in it for me, right? Like how am I getting compensated for the time that I spend doing something? So for me, it's like, how can I give to the greater good of the collective without having that feeling of needing something in return? How can I make the community better for the sake of making the community better? Right?
Just to give. And then, you know, Renee and I share a mutual friend, and he always like, well, you know, to be in service. Like a lot of times people are in service to be in service to self. So this whole idea, like, I'm going to go make impact and I'm going to change the world, that right there shows the consciousness of a person. Like, you're here, the world doesn't want to be changed. The world could literally just flick us all off in 1 second. And she's like, I'm done with you. It's like so much bigger than us. So it's like, How can we come up and show up and do our work, our internal work, feel the things we need to do, and then let that be observed, or have it be magnetic within our communities, or within the way that we speak, or the way that we do things. And, you know, I say this every time, but out there making impact and changing the world is like getting in the face with a dick, and like nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. And it is just changing that whole piece. Like, I don't want you to come be in part of our family and part of our thing because we're going to gain. I want to bring in our people, like we're calling people home, and we want to magnetically do that. And that's the piece. So, you know, look at your life. Look at your life right now and ask yourselves, what doesn't feel good? What part of like what you're doing in your lives, with the holidays, or with your families, or how you live, or with your job, or whatever, you know, maybe you're doing something that's bad for the planet. It just doesn't feel good. Like, listen to those things. It's time to make a shift. And we don't need all the things. We need very little to be happy. You know, I like my hair better when it's curly, but I can handle it straight. And like, that's electricity, right? And like, okay, you know, I can do that. I can do all the things. I mean, I've lived in the jungle. I gave up everything. I didn't have soap. I didn't have toothpaste. We just had water, 30 days. It was a thing. Learning to be with your own smell, learning all these things. Like, it's time to get real.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that goes around with doing things with integrity, and then also like being seen for like, yeah, I'm gonna go change the world, see me, right? And then you're seen for it, and that's your self-gratification. It's like the hypothetical imperative, right? Can we just do for the sake of doing, right? Can we just give for the sake of giving, not for, and can we do it with integrity and not for being seen, right? It's not like, oh, hey, I'm on this call right now. I got to get this selfie right now for my Instagram so I can see, now I'm being seen for helping the world. Right now I got to post on Instagram, oh, helping change the world with the EHC, but I actually really don't do anything, right? And I actually get a feeling of being seen from it. And a lot of that happens too.
Renee, you're sharing thoughts. We have a few minutes left.
I think for me, it would be to encourage people to get out of duality. And people are going to disagree, but the biggest thing that I see is right, wrong, good, bad keeps everybody locked in, locked down. Because we swing from one extreme to the other. And for me, it misses all those, the hues, you know, what we talked about. I think I come back to this pretty often, is the shades of, you know, the hues of existence don't get expressed or experienced. And if it's, and I could be way off, but the cosmos and the universe appears to work to function in reciprocity. If we're really an expression of that, then that's our innate state. How can we support each other in that, so that we're in interdependency? Because I've spent my whole life assisting people to whatever degree possible, getting out of codependency, but really doing damage to myself. And that's not okay either. You know, that's an extreme. It's another, you know, Evel Knievel approach. You know, it's very much about being driven, and you drive yourself. And I would really like to learn for myself what it is to be sustainable, to be interdependent, and to attract people to me with minimal efforting. And build from there, you know, because I know whatever I'm up to benefits everybody. That's just who I am, you know. And part of me is cringing as I say that, because it's like, oh, you know, I'm on Facebook.
But own that about yourself. But there's nothing wrong with owning the fact that you like know those things about yourself. Like, we get to have those pieces without being narcissist or labeled whatever, right? And like, again, it's being in the right community where someone's not like in judgment of you or and those pieces. And like, that is what these phone calls are about. That is like to be able to show up naked, to be able to be like, oh, this is me in my belly, and this is me and my booty, and this is what it looks like, and this is how I feel about some stuff. And people are like, okay, cool, all right, that's neat, that's interesting, I never thought of it that way, or whatever. So it's, and I think to me that's magnetic, is when we have a safe place. I don't remember what exactly it said or who said it. It was a doctor, but he said it's not medicine, it's not food, it's not environment, it's not wealth, it's not whatever that makes us thrive. It's feeling loved and accepted. It really is feeling loved and accepted. And when we're not feeling those things and we feel an insecurity, like we're not thriving. And I've seen lots of posts, and this is not just for women, but women thrive when they're held in that environment. Like we can do so many things, and so do men. And when you feel safe and seen, then what? Then what could we actually do on the planet? What kind of world would we create? And what kind of people could we become if we all felt safe and seen and loved and accepted in our nakedness? DJ, do you have any parting words, my dearest? Thank you so much for coming on the call. It's always so good to have you on stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of just a loss at words, because a lot of the things that were said on this call, I took my notes, and it kind of made me think and stuff, but I do think that we're all kind of coming together in our own way, with the knowledge that we have to slowly make change, right? And to make change you have to make change on a very personal level, and to make a change on a global level, right? So, it's just for someone who, was raised without any insight into anything that's going on globally, it's interesting to know that there are people and resources out there that you can trust and rely on to help you grow and understand, right? Because that's very scary when, you start to feel like you want to wake up to things, but you don't know who to ask and who to talk to and who to see, and who to know. So it's very good to have a safe space to be able to learn.
And it's not about perfection, kids. Like, it's not about like doing everything perfectly. Like, if you could be 30% more conscious about your waste, that's a huge improvement. If you can be 10% more conscious about your waste, if you can grab a water bottle this year rather than all the plastic bottles, or you can decide not to buy paper towels and you're going to do like cloth towel, like one change like that, it does make a difference. It really does make a difference. And we have this idea that like, oh, okay, I've been to this extreme, like Renee just said, now I have to go to the other extreme with it, right? And like it's not doable for where we're at. So find the changes you can make, be open, don't be afraid to look at what's happening in the world, understand what's happening, and choose what your soul speaks to. Like, that's all we can really do. Is it's not going to be the same for you and I. Our missions, our causes, our hearts are not going to feel the same thing about things. And that's by design. Like, that's so that we all go out and do different things. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you both so much. And Carrie too, for being on the call as always. And this has been so much fun getting to talk about our planet and the fact that she is our Pachamama. She is our mother. And when we can start to connect with her and how she grounds us and protects us every day, it's just like my teacher always says, the sun never sends me a bill when it shines on my ass every day. It just doesn't, right? And Earth offers all of her bounty and all of her beauty, and we just take it for granted, and we have the opportunity to not do that anymore. So I hope this call, if anyone's out there, inspired somebody to feel something different. That's the goal here. So we have a lot of beautiful things coming out for our Expanded Human family. We have an incredible 2020 vision plan guide, and it's not like the typical, hey, let's plan all of our shit. It's actually doing it from like a place of soul and like what works for us, and trying to like compact and bring in what we need to be able to do the things, call in land, for us to build land for whatever it is that we're doing. So it's time for us to figure some shit out and to set some realistic, really amazing goals that are going to really offer shift in our own lives and maybe for our communities.
Let's do it. Rhonda's going to learn how to hunt, and then I'm going to learn how to make baskets. I'm going to do basket weaving.
Yeah, and we're teaching medicine this year. Like, we have a medicine school coming up for people. I think everybody should understand how medicine, and if you don't understand where aspirin comes from, you should Google it, folks, because like it's Google. All right. Blessings, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving for whatever you celebrate. Be thankful for the things that we have. We are very blessed in life.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks for you guys.